Let's bring in our London correspondent for more. Juliana Lainka joins us now. Hi, Juliana. It's supposed to be the hottest day in Britain today. How hot has it been?
In one word, hot, Millicent. It's been incredibly hot, as you can see. I am melting here. I believe at about 12 o'clock today, Heathrow Airport reached 40.3 degrees Celsius. This is the hottest day on record ever in the UK. And I think a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people were joking about this, particularly, of course, if you're in the global south. Everybody knows that Britons do like to talk about the weather, but no, this is indeed pretty serious now. There is a national emergency currently taking place in London, in Greater London. Lots of the pictures that you were just showing in Europe is actually taking place within London. I believe the fire brigade are tackling about 20 separate fires. These are wildfires, grass fires that have been spreading all across London and the United Kingdom. And it is really serious because if you think about it, this is a cold island. We've got average temperatures of between about 4 degrees at the lowest and previously about 14 degrees at the highest. And this is throughout the year. Everybody used to complain that you would never get more than 2 or 3 days of sun in Britain. And we've seen extreme temperatures over the past couple of days. This has led, unfortunately, to some deaths. We are seeing that houses are being destroyed as we speak. And I've got to say, as I have been saying over the past couple of days, please, 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 if you are in London, do adhere to the government advice, which is, of course, to try and keep as cool as you can by staying hydrated, but particularly the elderly within our community and newborn children. Mothers should not be covering them with socks and hats. You know, I was on Oxford Circus, just a stone's throw away from the office. You still see mothers out with their children in prams covering them up. Just don't do that today. It's just absolutely not worth it because we are seeing that tragically this extreme weather, as you said, a heat apocalypse that we're experiencing in Europe is killing people.
And, you know, we're learning the heat there's been a bit of disruption to everyday life, transportation affected, and this is also affecting schools, yes?
It is affecting schools. Several schools have been shut. If they haven't been shut, then they have asked parents to collect them much earlier because, unfortunately, Millicent, and we have been having this conversation over the past couple of years in this country, the country is just not set up for this extreme weather. Why should it be? Especially because if you think about it, in the history of this nation, we've never experienced heat like this. But I think it's fair to say, and you know, you don't have to be a climate change enthusiast to believe it, but this is the result of human-induced weather patterns. It's just not just obviously here in the global north. We're seeing it have devastating consequences, particularly in Nigeria and then other places in the Horn of Africa. And there have been several COBRA meetings over the past couple of days, led by our still Prime Minister Boris Johnson, trying to see how we can tackle this in the future, because it got to 40.3 degrees today. And I think this is definitely something we could be seeing again, probably in August.
And Juliana, I mean, are there restrictions for those working in offices in terms of, you know, government's response, perhaps to a few hours as everyone tries to cope with the rising heat?
Well, yes and no. I think one good thing from the pandemic is, of course, so many firms up and down the country adopted this hybrid work pattern, or not even hybrid. Some people are very, very fortunate enough to be able to work from home. But of course, you can't work from home for some jobs. If you're a security guard, you can't work from home. If you work in the NHS, you can't work from home. And you can't work from home if you're a cleaner. But of course, fortunately, so many offices do have air conditioning, and I believe union bosses were asking the government to ensure that private sector spaces are not hotter or warmer than 25 degrees Celsius. But, some are not. Even yesterday, where we're located, there was a power cut just because of the heat and the machinery couldn't take it. But I've got to say, lots of employers across the country are asking people to work from home where they can. If you are falling under that category, many people within our community do, working in lower skilled jobs. And then, just take the break when you need it. Make sure you stay hydrated. Loosen up a couple of buttons on your top shirt, loosen your tie. Those are the kind of things that you have to do to ensure that you stay safe. Because, of course, even though you do ask your employer to make sure they set the rules, you have to make sure that you are taking your life and your health and well-being safety yourself.
And we're looking at a lot more air conditioning, and we're looking at more bills, electricity bills, and the likes. We're also seeing temperatures rise in France, Spain, Portugal, up to 47 degrees Celsius. Many wonder how, indeed, they're also coping. And then there's also the wildfires, and many wonder how those lands will be arable afterwards.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's certainly one for a horticulturalist or an environmentalist expert. But yeah, of course, this is a huge problem, especially if you think of the UK now. Of course, like I said, there are more than a dozen fires taking place at a time, where we are going through the worst cost of living crisis on record. There was some data yesterday from Springboard, which looks at footfall in the UK, and the numbers were down. People were just not willing to go shopping on the high street when it's sweltering hot. So certainly that's an issue, and I'm sure we will start seeing figures and estimates of what this has cost not only the economy in the UK but the economy across Europe. But as you were saying, yeah, the extreme temperature that we're seeing in places like southern France and in Spain and in Portugal is very worrying. It has led to thousands of people being evacuated from their homes. I believe about 24,000 people were evacuated from southern France earlier this afternoon. I believe about 1,000 people have died trying to flee these wildfires in Spain and Portugal. And so definitely, I think heads of government are going to have to start taking this more seriously. We do have COP27 taking place in Egypt very, very soon. We know that COP26 didn't go far enough, but the evidence is here. A lot of the experts say, this is something that the global south can deal with. They can deal with it in Africa. When it's knocking on their doorstep, perhaps, unfortunately, quite grim, they will start taking this seriously, because it's costing their economy, and it's costing lives too.
Indeed. Many thanks, Juliana, for that update, and stay cool.